I'm hoping that I'll motivate you to know it is possible to write. Whether you write or you don't, to know it is possible to write. And I'm hoping God will give me words that help us to answer that question. Number two, I'm hoping to motivate you to actually follow, and I will be sharing my testimony, the process of writing. And also I will deal with discouragements to writing. So I want to start with the things that my bad one is what I want to start with. Why don't people write? How come if you go to Keswick, maybe 70-80% of the titles are foreign? Who was in Keswick? I've not been in Keswick recently. You are there recently. Am I right?
You are right, you are right.
It can even be worse than that. I've gone to Keswick, asked them, of course they don't know who I am. So I asked somebody, do you have Nanga books? And they struggle to get them. Because Nanga books are hidden somewhere. The Wazungu books are the ones on the front. So you need to understand that to get the idea of writing, when you think writers are white, you just wake up every morning and keep your skin. Say, not for me. This is for, like when you are young. I did my Form 4 1971, so at least I've been an adult. Because once you finish Form 4, so you can get married. Yeah, so I've been an adult for the last 52 years. Yeah. And I need to understand as you are looking around and you start forming an opinion, because all our textbooks were done by white people. Then you go looking for Christian books, you get white people. So the first thing is you have to go over that thing, or you can't write. In order to tell you, when I was in Form, by the time I finished Form 4, you are not allowed to be a nurse if you are a man. So among the options we were having, there was no nurse. Jomo Kenyatta said, how can a woman? What could a man be doing in nursing? Nursing is a female term. Now these days there are many nurses who are men. Are we together? So you did not. So when you were Form 1, Form 2, we did not even think about nursing, because that's for women. So writing has the same problem. When you start thinking that writers have a pigment, have a color, you may even come to where you think that writers have a kind of a class in terms of what degree did you do or not do. And so you say, the degree I did is not for writers. Not understanding that whatever you did, somebody wrote the book. So he's not a writer. Even if you did organic chemistry, see, somebody wrote. It's a writer. But you can start getting blocked because of the degree you did and studied. And you start thinking, because of that degree, we are not in the, we are not able to write. Thirdly, we are talking about why people don't write. Is the feeling, by the way, all the things I'm saying are not factual. It's just a feeling. But you don't require fact to stop yourself going somewhere. All you need to feel, they are going to be, they're going to be lions on that side. You haven't got facts. But once you feel they are lions, will you go on that trip? No. So all you need is to have a feeling. Thirdly, on the issue of writing, is when you get the impression that your language is bad. After all, everybody says it's bad. There are people who believe their English is bad because the teacher used to tell them it is bad, and they believe the teacher. So you are interested in writing. You even know you are the right person to write, but God never gave me language, so you don't write. I'm calling all those things myths because, number one, nobody can write for Africans like an African. when you pick my book on finding a life partner, the kind of examples I'm giving are irrelevant to the white people. I'm thinking about a boy in Africa. I'm thinking about a girl like Rebecca, my wife. So, from my writing, you can see clearly I'm speaking your language, isn't it?
Yes.
So to start thinking, the white people must write, but for their people. We are the only people who can write, because the examples you give are relevant examples that reach the person better. So if we don't write ourselves, people will be reading a book and finish the chapter and don't understand what the Mzungu is saying. So it's a lie to start imagining that because whites write more books that we can do without African writing. It needs to be understood that anybody cannot write as well as a local. Even, for example, a theological book, our examples will not be the examples of the white. We have our struggles, isn't it? And although you read the same Bible, the way you explain it is relevant to the people. So do you agree that is a myth? To start imagining that only white people can write. Number two, to start imagining that you need a certain class, degree or something in order to write. It's another myth. Why? There are people who started with you and they require to read. You even pass an exam and the examiner who doesn't know you still understood you. Am I right? Others would hear past. See, it means that the examiner understood your essay enough for you to get a C plus if you didn't get an A. But you can't get a C plus if you didn't understand. So it will be very important to understand that that it's a myth to start imagining that you don't have the language, you don't have the degree, don't have the language, therefore you can't write. Just write like that. I still remember a friend of mine who wrote a book in Kikuyu. That must be about 68 or 69. So if you can't write in English, write Kikuyu. If you can't write in Kikuyu, me, I can't write in Swahili. And I'm not to blame. Jomo Kenyatta never emphasized Swahili when he was So it's important to understand everybody can write. And you don't have to write the language. Don't write Greek if you are not going to Greece. Just write it in the language you understand. I'm right, I'm wrong. Write it in the language somebody else understands. Because you're not writing for yourself. So if there are no Kikuyus on earth, don't write in Kikuyu. But there are Kikuyus on earth, isn't it? So you can write in that language, that whatever. And also in English, you need to understand there's an English that only you have. About 10, 15 years ago, I didn't, maybe somewhere there, a lady came and told me, "You like to help me?" Why? You know, when I read your books, I hear you. That's not the way to write. The lady is telling me, although she has never written. Now, so I said, what should I do? There is a language for writing. So I said, and I'm going to help you to edit. There was a book with a friend of mine, so she saw the manuscript with the editor. The editor showed her, I said, yeah, that's Nana's problem. When he writes, you hear him. So the person decided to help me. So I said, don't bother with this one because I don't want to delay it. Pick I have a book called Friendship, and it's very small. Don't pick a big book, just Friendship. And rewrite it, show me, that way I will know the difference between the correct writing language and mine. 15 years later, I still don't have it. Because you see, it was the person was not the devil, but the devil was using the person for me to stop writing. Because you see, once I no longer know how to write, and this person is taking forever editing. I can't write another book, isn't it? Can you see the devil there? Yeah, so you need to understand. And then, I thought that the reason why even this one will go, because my books have sold, have been selling. People keep giving me feedback with this language. And she was right. I've been told by several people, the reason I enjoy your books is because I hear you. In fact, he said, I even laugh at home. Because I'm thinking we are talking.
Yes.
What he is unhappy about is what attracts people to my books.
That's correct.
Am I communicating?
Yes.
So you need to understand, you can write uniquely you. And people will read your books because they are uniquely you. You know, when my husband died, we have been married for 44 years, so there's nobody at home. So we're watching people singing. And he says, my husband says, sure, because you're not winning. That's the singing. Because some people, even the voice, now, that's singing. Have you heard it on TV?
Yeah.
Now, but you know those people are very popular. They are the cause I'm saying. But there's now, I started saying, sure, for sure. There are people, you know, for us, good music was a choir, with soprano, with alto. But that was 1960s. The new generation, there is no choir. They don't even understand what is soprano and alto, whatever. You sing and jump and and the deeper it is, the better now. But people, there's a market for it. Am I right?
Yes.
So it's very important to understand then that you can write uniquely you and your books will still sell. So don't fail to write because you can't write like Nana. Write like you. And there is a market that would go that do not like Nana that will like you. Are we together? So it's a myth to start imagining you can't write because you are. Let me tell you why you cannot write now genuinely. 3 things that are now joined, those were made, real one. Number 1, when you have no message for anybody. Please don't write. I beg you, please. It will be waste of time. Money is secondary. You will be wasting time. There is something God has created you for, and it's not writing. There must be, you must have a message for somebody. Somebody's. Now, so once the message is there, like Jeremiah, we call Jeremiah the crying prophet.
Yes.
Because he had a message. But the more he gave the message, the more he suffered. So he said, your word like a fire. I want to stop it, but I can't help but give the word. So you need that thing that is a message for somebody to the extent you can't help but give it. So if generally you have no message, don't write. That's a very, very important thing to understand. Because a lot of people want to be writers. To write what? I'll think about it. No. It should be already in the heart. There's something that is, there's a problem on earth. And you feel God has given you the solution. And you have told a few people, you write more people to get the solution. That's why you are going to write. So if you don't have, that's a genuine good reason not to write. Number 2, if you are going to write for money, please don't write. Because you see, you are going to be complaining for the rest of your life. So to save you complaints, simply don't write. Because although my brother was saying that the truth is, you cannot say they are not readers. Because that's not true. They are readers. It's only they are not as many readers. If you want to make money, write a textbook. Because, and then find a way of getting KIE, what are they called? IC. Yeah. If they ever recommend your book, my friend, you are not a millionaire. You are a billionaire. You know, one class these days is 1.2 million people, isn't it? So are the ones. So if you write one book, that is a sale of 1.2 million. And then next year, and next year, and next year. Can you see how you become a billionaire? So if you really want to be a writer and what you want is business, write a textbook. Find out who the syllabus. Go and see the syllabus they're having, and then say, that I can. Then go and show the people and let them recommend. Because the truth of the matter is, it is possible God made you write a book for 100 people. He loves them. And so he wanted you to write a book for 100 people. And when you do so, those people will pass on the message and pass the message. God will transform them, but no more than 100. Now, if you write a book for 100 people, it will not even pay for the cost. Am I right?
Yes.
But the impact is already taken place. Are you together? The impact has happened. So you don't have a problem because the impact has happened. But if what you're after is not impact, it is money, please try something else. Have other investment ideas. Do not include writing as one of the investment ideas. And I think that will be that. So if you have no message, if really what you're after is money, don't write. Thirdly, and that's very, very important. If you have no time, don't write. Because writing requires a lot of time. Before I retired, every one of the books you read took me not less than 3 years. And I'm writing continuously. I'm writing. When you go, people go on leave, they go to make money. Me, I go and sit on my desk. And for the whole month, I report on duty on my book every day, only to discover at the end of the leave, the book is still not complete. I feel so disappointed. So I told myself, okay, I'll continue writing snail speed until the next. Then the next one, I say, now this time I'm finishing. I don't. By the third year is when I finally finish. I keep telling people, I don't think I have a gift for writing. The gift I have is for patience. And the difference between me and other people is simply God gave me patience. Because a lot of people write. Somewhere along there they swear, when will this book ever finish? There are many, many manuscripts in people's place. Some of them burn them when they reach my age. But there are many, many manuscripts. People try to write, but they never became a book. Why did they become a book? Because somebody gave up along the way. Because he thought it was taking too much time. The gift God gave me is the first one. I have a message I want people to hear. Number two, I believe God wants them to hear. So, how do I stop writing the book when there are instructions from above? Okay, the difference? So it's not that I don't get discouraged, but as you remember, I'm not writing for me, I'm writing for God. So I continue writing because I can't stop. Like Jeremiah, I know I would rather do something different, but I better continue. So every book, I write and write and write until one day I'm told, I'll talk about the process I follow. I finally it can go to an editor, a proper editor, and then finally becomes a book. So I believe the thing God gave me, that idea that I have a message, and so I'm able to continue writing. Like now, currently I'm writing a book because I'm very concerned about work-life balance. You know, if you have been listening to my morning meditations, I'm talking about God created the sun and the moon. The moon is supposed to announce you rest. The sun is supposed to announce you come out of bed. But because we now discover the light, people work in the night and in the day. They suffer from something called burnout because of disobeying God, isn't it? So I want to talk about the way God created us. There is time for rest. You ignore it to your own peril. But unfortunately, I wrote it the whole year. I thought I can finish. Now I can see we are getting to August. I haven't finished. Because I have many things I do. Writing is only one of them. So when they become too many, it's writing that suffers. But I don't give up. One day, if the Lord gives me time, that book will come out. So the important thing is I have a message, I have a concern. So I'm able to continue with it until the book But maybe I should have started right at the beginning. How did I start writing? Way back, as from 1, from 2, I started getting interested. I'm talking about 1960s. I started getting interested in writing. So we began a journalism club with a few boys. In fact, my first time in Kisumu, I went because we wanted to see a radio station. I don't know if we never went to Nairobi, it was too near. So we went to Kisumu. So I joined journalism club with the idea of either voice journalism or written journalism. That's what so from then onwards, I have had an interest in writing. But when I now finished from 6, I left Alliance just about 50 years ago. Because from 4 was 71, so from 6 was 73. When I left Alliance and we were selecting courses in the university, I discovered there was no degree for journalism. You could only do a diploma. And I thought, I'm likely to do well. Why did I end up with a diploma instead of a degree? And people who left from 4 so got diploma, so why was I necessary for? So that's how I never went to study journalism. So I took a BCom course. But I was already interested in writing, and also I wrote for the Christian Union magazine. If you go to the university magazine of 1974 or 75, you'll find my article. I was the chairman of the University Christian Union in 1975. In our time, you are not asked which university because I was only one. So I write, and I can see people appreciate it. By the time I was out of campus, I was editing. I was the one in charge of the newsletter for Focus and the one for KSL, because I was involved in student ministry. So I was writing, but not a book. But I never got an opportunity to write. I would actually write. And I don't think whether I would have actually ended up writing a book if it were not for VOK, about the time it was turning into KBC, about 25 years ago or thereabout. I was invited by VOK to give a series of talks on relationship. The instruction from the producer is that I don't talk about girl-boyfriend, and I don't talk about husband-wife, just how people can relate well with one another. So I was told, so I asked for how long? It will be 4 sessions, 1 per week, 4 sessions, so it's a month. So I asked God to give me all the ideas about how to relate well with one another. So I prepared my 4 talks. But when they went, it was the general service, the English service. Now, when it went out, it became so popular that it forced the producer to ask me, to ask that week, can you do more? I said, I wish you told me. I said everything. Then I realized, this is God. How can God give me more time and not give me more message? So I told the pastor, don't worry, I'll do it. But now I was clever. I knew it could go beyond a month. So I now replayed it into topics and how to cover it. I was actually on VOK for almost half a year. Until somebody said, wait a minute, this is not a program for Nganga. It's a program for many people. How come one person has been on it for that long? So they actually told me. By the time they stopped, people asking, can you continue? Obviously, they are not in control of it. So they actually asked for cassettes and started listening to the cassettes, of the programs. In fact, because of the demand for the cassettes, somebody decided to go VOK, say, give me, because it was not VOK was not commercial. And somebody in a place called Taska, that was our meeting point as young people, decided to turn it into cassettes. Then somebody called me and said, me, I don't like listening, I like reading. Can you give me the material? I'll type for you until it is a book. I didn't know the person well. I thought, why give somebody work? So that's how I was forced to go back to my notes, add the talk, and try to make them into a book. Fortunately, my wife is a lecturer in communication. So she sympathized with me and started taking the manuscript to help edit. So my first book, if you look, is my wife is the one who has written the foreword. She's the one who helped me to compile it. Now, and it started selling because those who had listened to the talk were keen to. There's already an already market. In fact, one of my friends tells me, tells me he was then doing his masters in Addis Ababa, Ethiopia. And he says when they had the thing, I didn't even know General Service is there. When they had the talk, they started gathering every time. It was Monday night and Friday afternoon. Every night they would gather together as students just to listen to what I was saying. So I knew the talk was pretty popular. So when the book came out, I thought, wow, at least I'm now a writer. At least the book is out there selling. One of my close friends came and said, "Nani, surely there is writing and writing. How can you write such trash?" I told you the devil anoints people. And he only anoints close friends. Because if an enemy says it, an enemy can never affect you. If he says it's hopeless, what else do you expect? But when your close friend talks like that, the devil knows it will get to the heart. So the person says, "Look, even you are the one writing a poem. It's a family project. What are you?" Oh, the guy pretended. Of course, that's the trouble we are in. They talk. And I was about to be discouraged when I started realizing, but people are continuing to buy. Sure, he is representing some people, but not these other ones. That's what now made me write a second book. Because I now knew there will be people willing to read, and people can never touch my books. I'm not writing for those. I'm writing for the ones willing to read. That's how I started writing. I've written 26 books, but not a single book can make life for me. Because, like you have heard, friendship is not my idea. I've told you that somebody somewhere thought of it. Not me. Me, I only gave the message. That means God he knew I could easily be discouraged. So he wanted other people to tell me what they believe I can have a solution for. So I do it. The second thing is I was invited by Bishop Adol, then the senior pastor of Valley Road, and told whether I can do an exposition on the book of 2 Samuel, which is really a character study of King David. So again, it was taking several. It used to be a 7:30 a.m. service, position service before the main service started. So I was on it for many weeks, and they were taping, and the cassettes were selling. So I now knew, even this, the same thing that happened with the other one, I better now I don't need to be pushed. I can see there are people who want to know, who are interested in the leadership style of King David. That's why the book was called, it's called Leadership, King David Style. Then I can go on book by book. But every book, God used somebody else to tell me there is a need, and they think I can meet it. So every book, I told you about the accusation that people can hear my voice. Was that the truth? I spoke before I wrote. Every book so far, I spoke before I wrote. One of my recent books is on parenting. Parenting Volume 1, Volume 2. It is my discussion in various couples meetings. People wanting me to know, how do you parent teenagers? How do you parent adults? How do you parent? When I now decided, because people ask, is there a book? Because now they know I have no book. I thought, okay, I went and looked for all my thoughts, and now reworked them to become a book. So if you hear my voice, it's because it was a voice before it was a book. And that's how I have written all my life. God uses somebody somewhere to point out a need, and those people believe I can actually be the answer, and then I answer. So every book, like there was a time, almost, I don't know why, God has his own ways of arranging. everybody kept inviting me to talk on stewardship. The Anglican Church invited me on stewardship, Pentecostal Church on stewardship. I don't know how they decided I'm an expert on stewardship. But everybody was calling me on stewardship. By the way, it stopped later, after the book came out. No, nobody, at least in the last number of years, nobody has invited me to talk on stewardship as such. But all those, now that there was a demand, and I could see everybody's calling, I put them together, and that's my book, A Leader as a Steward. So, I'm emphasizing for you that between you and the people you are with, there are certain things you seem to be the answer for. And if you are the answer for those people, you can become the answer for more people. You know, the truth is, for the last over 50 years, I've been speaking somewhere or the other. At least from the time I finished Form 4, I've been speaking, preaching. So I've actually been speaking somewhere or the other. But I can tell you the books have opened new speaking arrangements that were not there before the book went. I went to do a consultancy in Nigeria. And you wonder, how did these people ever invite me? How did they? It's when I have given, it was not about preaching, it was training on leadership. Somebody asked me a question, and I wondered how they can ask such a question, like they have read my books. So during this time I say, have we met? Say, no, but I've read your book. That is in Lagos. And I thought, come to think of it, if I never wrote the book, how would I have entered Lagos? Am I communicating? Another time I got a call from somebody in Elbu, and he said, you may not remember me, but I was a student in the university 1980s and used to come to speak to us. I have just seen your book, Leadership in Living Style. Can you come and speak to my elder, to my leadership, exactly what you have written in the book? Okay, can't finish within 1 weekend. But he went to Focus, asking them, you must know the third member of Nana. So the book is one that caused the invitation. There was a time I was doing, that's what I've been since I retired. I've been doing consultancy in leadership and management. I was training some people in Zambia. And then I got a call. And unfortunately, if you accept a call out there, they charge you a lot of money. So I said, can you SMS? The person SMS that whether I'm available to meet on Monday morning in KICC. I thought, could be a crook. Anyway, I finished my Zambia thing, and on the weekend, I thought, maybe I should just go and find out. So I went to KICC and went to the building. It turned out there were people called SCAC, State Corporation Advisory Council. What did they want? Uhuru had ordered all government board of directors and university councils to go to Mombasa for training on ethics. And that whoever SCAC is, they have decided I can talk to them about leadership ethics. I tried to answer, who could it be? How did they ever get my name? That's how I realized. It's my book, and which I call Integrity, the Litmus Test of Good Leadership. It's my largest book, yes. Over 300 pages. And so from September, I just come back, that was August, from September up to December, I was in Mombasa every week. Because it was different, every week it was a different council, different board were going every week. And my topic, I had to cover it the whole thing. All because I wrote a book. Okay, they paid me well, but the books may not give me money. But am I communicating?
Yes.
All because I wrote. Because they have no idea how naive. But they can see a book and they read and they think these ideas are good. That's how they, and I can go to one person after the other about the many openings that have come because I wrote a book. So whether they say many or a few, The one person who bought has influenced somebody. Am I communicating? So, and that has helped me quite a bit. So the thing that has helped me is therefore patience. The fact that if God has given me a chance to write something, I'll write it. Actually, I used to tell my children when they were young that the greatest weakness is to start a project and not finish it. It's not biblical. It's unchristian. So the best thing, if you begin a book, read it to the end. So that's why you need to be, I used to be a chief librarian in high school. So instead of starting to read the book, read the cover, the title, do you like it? You're not sure? Read the back. If you're still interested, read the forward. If you're not interested, don't touch it. But if you read chapter 1, you must go to the last chapter. Because maybe chapter 1 is boring. Chapter 17 is the one with the right review message. How will you know unless you go to chapter 17? So I kept emphasizing to them, be careful not to begin a project unless you intend to finish it. And that philosophy is what has helped me to actually continue to other. But the other thing that has helped me is the fact that I don't write for money. I wrote because there was a demand, people asking for it. When they came to agree with the publisher what the price is, I was working for Shell. I believe God paid me Shell money for me to do ministry. I've done a lot of speaking all over Kenya, especially in the universities. You hear I've flown to Kisumu to speak in Maseno. If you started telling them the views of aircraft, they have never entered one. Those think what's this price. So I don't even tell them I came by air. Now, why? Because I believe my salary in Shell is not mine. It's God facilitated to me flying to Maseno. So Maseno owes me nothing. Because it's already paid in advance by God. And that's what I've done even after retirement. This week I've been doing a consultancy. They will pay me. And I suspect there's a place God wants me to go. He never gives you money for nothing. There's a reason. If God is supplying, then I don't need any money from books. All I need is for the book to cover its own costs. So I just read into the other one. So the other one can go into preaching. And that means when I started my books, it was 500 shillings per book. The distributor says, surely, that's so little. Like that book of 300. I still selling it 500 shillings. Say, no, there's something wrong. We have really debated with my distributors about that. Of course, they also have an interest because they get a percentage, and a percentage of something small is actually also small. So you can see clearly why they like. But I say I'm writing for young people. They have no money, and I want them to listen. The trouble is, a bookshop cannot have two prices. So as you produce an ID, you're a student, you have one price. And an ID that shows you are. So there has to be one price. But my real target are young people and they have no salary. So my books became 600 when they added VAT on the book. Otherwise I've kept them at 600. Because I really do believe young people will have the longest impact. Are you aware? Have you heard of this statement of this guy who went to preach? When he came back, he was asked, how was the mission? He said it was a wonderful mission. God blessed us. 2.5 people got saved. Yes, 2.5. 2.5 people, yes. Oh, so there were 2 adults and 1 child. See, you got it wrong. Every time an adult comes to the Lord, he only gives the half of his life to the Lord. The other one has already wasted. But when a child gets saved, they give the full life. So it was 2 children and 1 adult. And that happens to be the truth. That when I write for young people, I have no idea where they are going to end up. At all, isn't it? So, if he reads, I got no money in it. But the ROI, return on investment, is far much better than writing for my age mates. You know, I'm over 70, so my age mates, don't have more than 15, 20 years before they meet the Lord. So they may not have covered my book yet. When I write to people in their 20s, even if they don't read now, they'll read it tomorrow. I'll get to the point. Yes. So that's the thing that has helped me, and I keep writing without expecting in return. All I want is the books cover their own costs so that they don't affect my other ministries. And that's why everyone says, how can you sell a book? I have discovered at that price, the book can pay itself. Because all you need is, of course, depends on who you go to for printing. Because the printing costs are so varied. So varied. You need to be able to be somebody who understands procurement to ensure that your costs are low. But on reasonable costs, you sell a book at 600 shillings, because if you sell it at 600 shillings, and your print must not be less than 1,000, because the higher the print run, the cheaper the unit costs. That's simple economics, isn't it? So if you print 100 books, because of something in accounting they call overhead. The unit overhead depend on the number of books. For example, if you are asking a designer to design the book, it will cost you the same whether you produce 100 or 1,000. If you are talking about the proofreader, he will cost you the same money whether you produce 1,000 or 100. All those costs are actually fixed costs, and you need a high run to reduce them down. So when you start producing books, 500 this time, 200 this time, your unit cost will be very high, and you'll not be able to sell it at a student price. And that's what I discovered. So all books come out more than 1,000. So if you sell 1,000 at 600 shillings, that's how much? 600,000. And you are likely to have gotten those books out at 400,000. So you still have a benefit. Am I right? Okay, out of the 600, there's still VAT to pay. So it's important to understand it's possible, but then you don't make money out of it. But the book covers its own cost if you are doing about 1,000 books, and that's an important thing for you to have at the back of your mind.